Hello everyone, so today I am going to cover the Belgian Grand Prix Sprint Race in 2023. As you may remember, the race was delayed because of the rain, roughly for an hour. Uh, as you can see, the temperature was relatively low for the reason why, for it was raining. And yeah, everyone was actually started with wet tire, full wet tire, the blue tire. But roughly, probably 2/3 of drivers got pitted. Um, right after the first lap, and then some people chose to stay on a wet tire to overcut some drivers. This worked for some people and not worked for some people. Clearly, because wet tire has less grip in dry condition or drying condition, and Piastri was one of the drivers who got more paces in intermediate tire, and Verstappen was actually undercutted by Piastri. However, he made his time up and he actually won the sprint race and got some points. And there were some retirements and crashes during the race, so it was relatively short, and we got so tiny numbers of racing laps during the race because there were so many formation laps. So even shorter race was actually even got shorter for multiple formation laps in the beginning. So there are less materials to cover than we do usually, but I will provide some analysts in deep. So let's catch up with the sprint race and let's summarize what we have seen in the sprint race. Okay, so let's start with the air temperature and truck temperature. Air temperature actually dropped down, and truck temperature actually dropped down towards the beginning of the race. And after the race, it slightly decreased, but it didn't change so much. Truck temperature actually increased significantly from like 24 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius. No, it's not 29, but 26 or 27 degrees Celsius. However, the air temperature didn't really change, and the track condition was not really good, and overall, it was a wet condition, and drivers didn't change dry tires at all during the race. So here's the tire strategy comparison between among the drivers. Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Ocon, Magnussen, Joel, Sargent, Tsunoda, and Alonso were a few drivers who overcut it, who picked to overcut other drivers, and other drivers changed their tires into intermediate tire, and they chose to undercut other drivers rather than overcutting. Clearly, they changed these strategies between the teammates. For example, Verstappen, Paris, Ricardo over here, and Tsunoda, and Alonso and Stroll, Albon, Sargent, Joe and Bottas, Magnussen and Hülkenberg, Russell and Hamilton, Ocon and Gasly, blah blah blah. Overall, some people did succeed overcutting or undercutting drivers for their good strategy, and some other people didn't. So we can't really conclude which strategy was better for every drivers. However, there are some situations where driver should have picked up to overcut or undercut. So this is where we got the safety car for Alonso's retirement, and Perez retired at this time. Yeah, Alonso retired here. Sergio Perez retired over here. So it was actually a messy race for a shorter race. So we got less laps to go for race, and the tire pickup was a really huge influence. And here is the lap time distribution for drivers. However, since the data actually contained, lap time record didn't record it, so I can't really do anything for this and analyze the data for these because the first few laps got deleted in the Python library because there were so much pit ins, and it was actually a rolling start, so we can't really say what's the lap time for each driver and blah blah blah. So I will not go over the lap time distribution this time. And as well as the lap time scatter plot, I don't really go over for this because it's totally useless for this time. So let's look at the lap time and the pit stop time for judging whether overcut or undercut was successful for this time. Remember that Valtteri actually finished in, let's see where Valtteri finished. It's over here. So he finished in 13. He jumped up from 17 to 13, while Yuki finished in 17, P17, which was the worst among the drivers, actually. So clearly that means Valtteri undercutted Yuki, and Yuki got undercutted by Valtteri Bottas. So here is the lap time comparison side by side for the drivers. On the left side, we got the lap time for Yuki Tsunoda, and the right side, we got the lap time for Valtteri Bottas. So Valtteri changed his tire over here just before the race started, and Yuki changed his tire after the first lap. So what Yuki was trying to do was to overcut someone else. However, Valtteri undercutted Yuki Tsunoda. So let's see the pit time. So this was the pit in time for Yuki, and this is the pit out time for Yuki. So how we can see this data is this was 1 hour and 30 minutes and 13 seconds after the race started. And he pitted out 1 hour 33 minutes and 36 seconds. So Yuki has got 26 seconds for pit stop. And Valtteri got what is 28 minus 3, which is 25. So they got roughly the same time for a pit stop. However, Valtteri actually... Oh yeah, we don't have the first lap time, so here. So what we can guess from this data is Valtteri actually got a lot better time in the first lap on his intermediate tire, while Yuki didn't make as much faster time as Valtteri did on his wet tire. Another reason why Yuki didn't really get promoted or get past the drivers in front is because, remember, he spinned at the beginning of at the restart after Alonso retired and safety car went out. He was actually spinned. He was actually spun right before the lap started. So this is where Yuki lost time, and the reason why he didn't get to pass other people in front. Okay, let's see the same thing for Piastri and Max Verstappen. So Max. Oops. Let's change my code a little bit. So this time, this is the lap time record. On the left side, we got Oscar Piastri, and right side, we got Max Verstappen lap time. And Oscar Piastri, pit in time, pit out time, and the same thing for Max. So let's see their strategies first. Oscar Piastri actually undercutted Max Verstappen, and Max actually overcutted Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri actually succeeded undercutting Max Verstappen. However, Max actually overtook Piastri right after the safety car was deployed and the safety car went in before the restart. This was probably because Oscar Piastri was trying so hard in the outlap, and he lost much of the tire, and the tire degradation was so strong on Oscar Piastri. So the lap time right after he before that we actually see the pit time for these two drivers. So 31 minutes 16 seconds, 30 minutes 53 seconds. It means 7 plus 16, so 23 seconds for pitting. And for Max Verstappen, it was 33 minutes 21 minus 32 minutes 57, meaning that 24 seconds. So Max actually had less time in pitting, and we don't really have the lap time for the first lap for both of the drivers. However, we can see that Max didn't. This is where Max pitted, so yeah, Max has to have a slower lap time. However, Piastri actually drove faster, but this is where the difference comes in. This is where the safety car was deployed for Alonso's retirement. And right after the restart, Oscar Piastri got passed by Max Verstappen. And there, for each lap, Max was a second faster consistently than Oscar Piastri, which means he got total 6 seconds lead against Oscar Piastri. And this shows how much Oscar Piastri used his tire to defense his lead, to secure his lead right before Fernando Alonso's safety car went in. So to summarize, some people succeeded overcutting, some people succeeded undercutting, and Max succeeded in Max actually failed to overcut Oscar Piastri. However, Oscar Piastri didn't. He did manage his tire really well, but Max was better in that, and Piastri lost his tire so bad. So that was the reason why Piastri couldn't save his pole position or his lead to win the first sprint. And yeah, it was a shorter race, so there's not much thing to say. Well, there is, but it takes too much time if I go over every single drivers and every single possible combinations of drivers. So please bear with me finishing here, and just wait for another video from me. So like and subscribe if you like this video, and let me know what other strategy insights or what other statistics do you want to know about the race. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.